Hey guys, MajK here to talk about some exciting new news. We're getting another Brave Frontier collab event, and a lot of the stuff that we've been waiting for a very long time is finally coming to the game. I'll get to that in a little bit, but this is going to be the new banner that's coming up. A lot of repeats actually, 4 of the characters we've had before. But we're also getting a new base 5-star attacker named Vargas. And if you've played Brave Frontier before, like I have, he's kind of like one of the base heroes for the fire element. So I guess you could call him like one of the main characters in a way. And yeah, his Trustmaster reward is going to be an awesome great sword. It's 130 attack, which is obviously huge, but it's also going to be a fire elemental sword. So yeah, definitely going to have some really good uses. And it's going to be the first of its kind with this much attack in this element. I mean, previously we've had fire swords like Verdun, but you know, it's not nearly this strong. Featured abilities, we'll go into that more specifically later. Elsa is a repeat, and she is a global exclusive, so you know, it's hard to get kind of future notes on her because she wasn't in Japan. But you know, we're familiar with her by now. She has a really good TM. This Demon Scythe is a spear TM, 120 attack, dark elemental. So very useful here, even just for the TM, but she's also a good debuffer. Now, there have been units that have come out since her that can debuff almost as well or just as well, but at the time, the 50% defense debuff was a really huge factor. And to put into perspective, like let's say we compare a 50% defense debuff compared to a 30% or 40%, the damage increase is huge. If you do a 50% debuff on an enemy, you're effectively doubling your damage. If you do a 40% debuff, then you're doing 1.66 the damage. And a 30% debuff, you're doing 1.4 of 1.4 times the damage. So 40% more, 43% more actually. So you can see that like a 30% debuff compared to 50% debuff is a huge difference. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on that tangent there. Now Tilith is the most important part of the banner here because she is a base 4-star, and while that would normally be a good thing, like, oh, I can actually get her, the problem is that this banner is pretty diluted with other base 4-stars. You'll note that she's a base 4-star that goes to 6-star, but we also have a base 4-star in Syria that only goes to 5-star, so this is like kind of annoying. Usually it's 3 to 5, but this is 4 to 5, which just, you know, dilutes the pool a little bit. Then we have Carl, who's 4 to 5, who has an excellent TM, by the way. A lot of this was best in slot for Noctis for the longest time. Boost HP by 10%, attack and magic by 20%, so this is great for hybrid people. This would be more for, you know, your healers and tanks, defense and spirit instead of attack and magic. But anyway, the prize of the banner is Tilith. So if you do get a yellow crystal, again, the problem is that you could get an off-banner unit, you could get Syria or Carl. But if you do happen to get Tilith, then you're going to be getting the best healer in the game for months to come. Now, some of us already have Tilith. We pulled her back when she only went up to 5 stars because we knew the future and we knew that she was going to be awesome, and you know, we knew from Japan. But now that she's going to get her 6-star form, she's going to be unstoppable. And her TM is basically a materia version of Ribbon. So, you know, depending on whether you want to put on more accessories or you want to put on more materia, you know, based on what you have, this is another option for you. And we'll talk about the abilities in a little bit, of course. The one other thing that I wanted to talk about is that a ton of these characters are getting ability awakenings. I don't know too much about Elsa, actually, but it looks like, you know, I don't know the percentages or anything, but she is going to get some extra damage on her Dark Reaper ability. This is basically like a stronger version of Barrage, I guess. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's, I think Ravaging Blow was. I'm going to have to look this up, actually. I don't know too much about her. I don't remember the names. Okay, they're all damage boosts. Okay, I'm going to look that up real quick, because yeah, I just took a quick look at it, and I knew that it was going to get damage boost, but I didn't realize which skill was which. Okay, so you guys probably, some of you already know what this is. Dark Reaper is Okay, so that's the passive actually. You increase attack 50% when you equip with a spear, and also increases dark resistance. But they're gonna boost that apparently. We don't know by how much yet. Ravaging Blow is the okay, so it's the debuff attack. It's a 2x multiplier and it debuffs by 50%. So you're not gonna be this is a mid boost and a low boost, mid boost, low boost. Okay, so you're gonna be doing more damage and you're gonna be debuffing more, which could bring her back into the meta. I mean, she has fallen off for a while now, but this could bring her back depending on what the percentages are. And then Madness Rush is basically the barrage type of ability. It used to be 3 hits with 4.2 multiplier and also increases your limit burst gauge fill rate. But it's going to be doing more damage. The only problem with this is because you can't really chain with it that well, and it's not really the ideal finishing move either because it's spread out over multiple hits. But you know, if you're an Elza user, this could definitely be a worthy upgrade for you. But the most important thing that we're going to talk about is Firion, who's going to become the best finisher in the game, in my opinion. It'll be debatable between Olive and Firion, but we'll go into the specific details now. Okay, so Firion, as you know, has a bunch of killer abilities, passives, and then his Finbriar attack was kind of a okay finishing move. It was good because of his killer passives, but it wasn't the best multiplier in the game, really. It used to do 1.8 with an ignore defense of 25%. So this effectively was a 2.4 multiplier. And then Legend Killer here, we have 75% extra damage to beasts, demons, and dragons. These are the two that he's going to get enhancements on, or the important ones at least. So Finbriar is going to go from a 1.8 with a 25% defense ignore, again 2.4 essentially. It's going to go from a 2.4, and then the first level is going to be a 2.3 multiplier with a 25% defense ignore. So that works out to a 3.06 or 3.07 multiplier. So it's going to go from 2.4 to 3.07. And then on the second level, it's going to go from a 3.07 all the way up to a 4.6. Because you're basically going to be doing 2.3 with the 50% defense ignore. And again, this is a denominator, the way you calculate it. So it's going to go up to 4.6. So essentially from going from a stock Finbriar, which is 2.4, you're going to a 4.6. His Finbriar is going to do almost literally double the damage, which is insane. So yeah, he's going to become an insane finisher. And on top of that, he's getting Legend Killer enhancements. So the first level is going to be adding Man Eater and Undead Killer. So yeah, he already had Beast, Demon, Dragon Killer, but now he's adding Man Eater and Undead at 75%. So that's a huge buff because there's a lot of human enemies in the game, of course, and Undead's pretty common as well. And then at the second level, it's going to go all the way up to 100. But I think the first level is definitely the most important here. So yeah, he's going to be an insane finisher. Probably the best finisher in the game for a while, until we get, you know, some other debatable enhancements like Lunith maybe will be good too and all that stuff. But Firion's just really going to be awesome for a while. I remember in JP his rating was like a 97 or something like that, and for a character that most people have, it's a really big deal, I think. So the second thing is Tilith, who is going from 5 stars to 6 stars. And as I mentioned before, she's going to become the best healer in the game, without question. Her limit burst is going to be, well, her limit burst is still not that great. It's a single target heal with, you know, all these buffs and everything, and cures certain status ailments, but you're not really using her for her limit burst. What you're going to be getting is, you're going to be getting an insane form of auto refresh. Instead of 5% MP per turn, it's 10%. Crazy. Okay, some HP passives. This right here, decreased target chance by 75%, ensures that she's not going to be soaking up a lot of damage, so she'll stay alive more, which is good. 3-turn AoE stat debuff resist. So this will, this is starting to come into the game more. This is going to prevent your party from getting, you know, attack breaks or whatever on you. So this is good. Also, we're going to be getting AoE stat buff removal. This sounds like some kind of dispel. AoE except self recover. So this is 99 MP, so it's really costly, but this is like a nice heal and a mana battery ability all in one. So kind of like Ling, how she would give 30 MP to the whole party except for herself, and it would cost a pretty good deal of MP. This is going to be doing 50 MP to your party and a really hefty heal. The only downsides, of course, is that she's not going to be healing herself, and she's going to be using a lot of MP to do that. But, you know, with the 10% MP recovery per turn, you know, she should be able to sustain that for a little bit, but you are going to want to stack a lot of MP on her for sure. And then finally, we have the two mega abilities here. We have AoE 100% HP recovery. So yeah, no matter how much damage you take, no need for dual casting, Curaja, or anything like that. No need for backup healing. Boom, in one go, your whole party is back up to full. And if you happen to have a few losses or, you know, some characters die, boom, AoE revive with 100% HP. That is insane. So this is like a AoE multi-person full life. So these two abilities combined, obviously going to make her the best healer in the game. Basically, if she survives, the rest of your party is going to be up and running. Now, that doesn't guarantee that they're going to, you know, be able to get buffs up right away. If your buffer or your support is dead and then you revive that person, then, you know, maybe that person's going to be susceptible to die again. But I mean, you know, even with Ling, you had that AoE revive ability that only brought him up with maybe like 20-30% HP. Even that came in handy because even if they did die again, you could always keep doing it, and then eventually, you know, they would survive. You can get back on your feet in the fight. With 100% HP, that's going to be much more doable. So these two abilities combined with Prism Heal, some of these other things, is just going to be so good. You're going to definitely want her. And then she has, this is just for herself, she's going to be regenning, so she regens HP and MP every turn. But yeah, that's why she's going to be the best healer. She might be a little bit tricky to get and pull for because of the diluted 4-star pool, like I mentioned, but if you do get her, you're going to be set for a long time. You're going to be set until Ayaka comes into the game, pretty much. Alright, and then the next unit is going to be Maxwell. Maxwell is a, currently we have, some of us have her, and she goes up to 5 stars, and that was a little bit of a surprise because in Japan she came out, I think, as a 6-star immediately, but it would have been a little bit too powerful at the time. So the 6-star form is going to be actually very good. Not going to be like game breaking or anything like that, especially considering we have like Orlando and those kinds of units already, but for a free unit, essentially, this is going to be a very good unit. So the limit burst is the most important thing, or most interesting thing to me. You have a 2.7 AoE, which is not that great, but it's 33 hits. Light magic attack. You could buff it up or level it up to 3.9, but it's just a crazy amount of chaining that you could do. So let's say you have another Maxwell friend and you both do limit burst at the same time. I mean, you're getting like 66 hits, 65 chain, and that's elemental chain. So the elemental chain is going to buff up the multiplier pretty early, and then the rest is going to do a lot of damage. But also importantly, it's going to give you a lot of like crystals, Esper orbs, and things like that in the fight. Plus, it's really fun to watch. So at 6 stars, she's going to get auto refresh basically. She's going to get a, this looks like a Bushido freedom kind of ability. It's an AoE attack, and it does stat buff removal, which I interpret as a dispel. 50% extra damage to human enemies, 50% light resist. These are just nice little passives that she has, 30% HP. And she's also going to get some nice utility here. We have AoE Cure All Ailments. So this is like an Isunaga, but on top of that, you're also getting a 1-turn 100% resist to status ailments. So you won't have to worry about the boss throwing it right back on you the next turn. So this is really cool ability. And you have Destiny, which is a basically like her main attack, I guess. It's a 2.0, but with a 50% defense ignore. It's a 4 multiplier, which is on par with something like Divine Ruination. The only problem with this compared to Divine Ruination is that it doesn't have the light element debuff. But if you were to pair her up with Orlando, and Orlando is doing light debuff, and you have a Maxwell in your party as well, she can take advantage of that debuff just as well. So this is a nice ability as well. This is really nice. And again, she's free. And then one of the things that made her really sustainable, and it was very unique, I think, is that she has some crazy amount of regen per turn. She's going to be healing 1800 HP per turn. So that's really cool. MP3. Okay, I don't remember having to cast that, but I guess, yeah, you would have to cast it maybe to get that regen. But either way, that's a lot and would make the sustain a lot better. So all in all, very solid unit. Not game breaking or anything, but going to be a lot of fun to use. And I would imagine that there's going to be some very specific fights where you're going to definitely want these kinds of status ailment curing and things like that. And then, you know, pairing it up with Orlando, you can really get some good damage out of her too. Or pairing up with another Maxwell, better yet. So yeah, that's Maxwell. And then finally we have the new unit, base 5-star Vargas. And we already mentioned his TM, it's really good. But he's a pretty good damage dealer as well. He has a lot of AoE stuff. He has a 2.7 multiplier AoE, 13 hit attack, fire physical attack. So that has some chaining capabilities there. I don't know the timing of it or anything like that. He does get a lot of, you know, passes with Greatsword. He's fire resist. So, you know, if up against a fire boss, well, I guess this is tricky because up against a fire boss who does a lot of fire attacks, Vargas would be pretty safe. But at the same time, a lot of his attacks are fire based, and the boss could be resistant or immune to that. So maybe a little situational here. But he has a lot of AoE stuff, as you can see. These are like multi-hit, 5-hit right here. Here's a 1-hit. This is kind of interesting. So he has an 80% chance to basically stay alive against one attack, even if he goes, you know, even if he would normally die otherwise, if he's above 10% health, he has a chance to stay alive regardless. So that's kind of cool. If the boss has some like crazy strong attack, then, you know, he always has that chance of staying alive. Auto refresh. He has a self auto revive, which is kind of nice, but if you have a Tilith in your party, maybe not as essential. This ability right here is pretty good too. So he has a 1.6 AoE physical attack, which is kind of weak. I mean, that's like barely better than Blade Blitz, but it's also going to give him a 3-turn 60% attack buff, which is pretty sizable. No, I'm sorry, this is the AoE, so it's going to be to your party, so it's going to be a nice buff to your party. So if you're using like a Y'shtola or something who can do dual cast Protect and Shelga, this is a nice way to buff your attack while doing damage as well. And then his main attack is Supreme Blaze. It's his AoE as well. But the fact that it's AoE is not that bad because he doesn't sacrifice that much damage. Like instead of a 2.0 multiplier, it's a 1.8. And it still has a 50% defense ignore, so it's a 3.6 AoE, which is really strong. It's a one-hit attack, so that means that this is designed to be like a finishing move. And again, the only downside to this compared to like some of the other elite enemies or characters that we have is that he doesn't have his own form of fire debuff. So yeah, like he can do a lot of damage if the enemy had a fire debuff on him, but without that, it's not going to be doing as much damage as, you know, some of the other elite damage dealers. But still, very solid unit all around. It's a lot of fire, so you have to keep that in mind as well. And then there's an exclusive materia breaker, which is a nice AoE full break, basically. So this provides a little extra utility as well. Like it makes him a little bit more of a support. He has an AoE full break, and he has an AoE attack buff that's stronger than, you know, other attack buffs that we have in the game. So pretty solid unit. Not something that I would personally chase. In fact, I'm not going to pull on this banner at all because I already have Tilith. But yeah, very solid unit. I would be happy to get him if I happen to stumble upon him. But yeah, he's worthy of the banner, and especially for the Trustmaster reward, it might be nice to get. But anyway, those are the new developments and characters. My the thing that I'm most excited about is both Firion. He's gonna become like a killer, no pun intended, finisher, and then Tilith, just the best healer in the game. So we're really starting to move ahead and finally get some of those things that we knew were coming. Feels like we're really far behind Japan, so we've been waiting forever, but now that it's here, I'm excited. So anyway, catch you guys next time, and good luck pulling for Tilith if you don't have her already.